In chemistry, soap is a salt of a fatty acid. Consumers mainly use soaps as surfactants for washing, bathing, and cleaning, but they are also used in textile spinning and are important components of lubricants. Soaps for cleansing are obtained by treating vegetable or animal oils and fats with a strongly alkaline solution. Fats and oils are composed of triglycerides, 3 molecules of fatty acids attached to a single molecule of glycerol. The alkaline solution, which is often called lye, brings about a chemical reaction known as saponification. In this reaction, the triglyceride fats first hydrolyze into free fatty acids, and then these combine with the alkali to form crude soap, an amalgam of various soap salts, excess fat or alkali, water, and liberated glycerol. The glycerin, a useful byproduct, can remain in the soap products as a softening agent, or be isolated for other uses. Soaps are key components of most lubricating greases, which are usually emulsions of calcium soap or lithium soap and mineral oil. These calcium and lithium-based greases are widely used. Many other metallic soaps are also useful, including those of aluminium, sodium, and mixtures of them. Such soaps are also used as thickeners to increase the viscosity of oils. In ancient times, lubricating greases were made by the addition of lime to olive oil. Mechanism of cleansing soaps. Action of soap when used for cleaning. Soap allows insoluble particles to become soluble in water, so they can then be rinsed away. For example, oil, fat is insoluble in water, but when a couple of drops of dish soap are added to the mixture, the oil, fat solubilizes into the water. The insoluble oil, fat molecules become associated inside micelles. Tiny spheres formed from soap molecules with polar hydrophilic groups on the outside and encasing a lipophilic pocket, which shields the oil, fat molecules from the water, making it soluble. Anything that is soluble will be washed away with the water. Synthetic detergents operate by similar mechanisms to soap. Effect of the alkali. The type of alkali metal used determines the kind of soap product. Sodium soaps, prepared from sodium hydroxide, are firm, whereas potassium soaps, derived from potassium hydroxide, are softer or often liquid. Historically, potassium hydroxide was extracted from the ashes of bracken or other plants. Lithium soaps also tend to be hard. These are used exclusively in greases. Effects of fat soaps are derivatives of fatty acids. Traditionally, they have been made from triglycerides. Triglyceride is the chemical name for the triesters of fatty acids, and glycerin, tallow, i.e., rendered beef fat, is the most available triglyceride from animals. Its saponified product is called sodium tallowate. Typical vegetable oils used in soap making are palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil, and laurel oil. Each species offers quite different fatty acid content and hence, results in soaps of distinct feel. The seed oils give softer but milder soaps. Soap made from pure olive oil is sometimes called Castile soap or Marseille soap, and is reputed for being extra mild. The term Castile is also sometimes applied to soaps from a mixture of oils, but a high percentage of olive oil. History of soaps. Early history. The earliest recorded evidence of the production of soap-like materials dates back to around 2800 BC in ancient Babylon. A formula for soap consisting of water, alkali, and cassia oil was written on a Babylonian clay tablet around 2200 BC. The Ebers papyrus indicates the ancient Egyptians bathed regularly and combined animal and vegetable oils with alkaline salts to create a soap-like substance. Egyptian documents mention a soap-like substance was used in the preparation of wool for weaving. In the reign of Nabonidus, a recipe for soap consisted of ulu, ashes, cypress oil, and sesame seed oil, for washing the stones for the servant girls. Ancient Roman era. The word sapo, Latin for soap, first appears in Pliny the Elder's Historia Naturalis, which discusses the manufacture of soap from tallow and ashes. But the only use he mentions for it is as a pomade for hair. He mentions rather disapprovingly that the men of the Gauls and Germans were more likely to use it than their female counterparts. Aretius of Cappadocia, writing in the 1st century AD, observes among Celts, which are men called Gauls, those alkaline substances that are made into balls, called soap. The Romans' preferred method of cleaning the body was to massage oil into the skin and then scrape away both the oil and any dirt with a strigil. The Gauls used soap made from animal fat. A popular belief claims soap takes its name from a supposed Mount Sapo, where animal sacrifices were supposed to have taken place. Tallow from these sacrifices would then have mixed with ashes from fires associated with these sacrifices and with water to produce soap. But there is no evidence of a Mount Sapo in the Roman world and no evidence for the apocryphal story. The Latin word sapo simply means soap. It was likely borrowed from an early Germanic language and is cognate with Latin sebum, tallow, which appears in Pliny the Elder's account. Roman animal sacrifices usually burned only the bones and inedible entrails of the sacrificed animals. Edible meat and fat from the sacrifices were taken by the humans rather than the gods. Zazimos of Panopolis, circa 300 AD, describes soap and soap making. Galen describes soap making using lye and prescribes washing to carry away impurities from the body and clothes. According to Galen, the best soaps were Germanic, and soaps from Gaul were second best. This is a reference to true soap in antiquity. Ancient China. A detergent similar to soap was manufactured in ancient China from vegetation and herbs. True soap, made of animal fat, did not appear in China until the modern era. Soap-like detergents were not as popular as ointments and creams. Middle East. A 12th century Islamic document describes the process of soap production. It mentions the key ingredient, alkali, which later becomes crucial to modern chemistry, derived from alkali or ashes. By the 13th century, the manufacture of soap in the Islamic world had become virtually industrialized with sources in Nablus, Fez, Damascus, and Aleppo. Medieval Europe. Soap makers in Naples were members of a guild in the late 6th century, and in the 8th century, soap making was well known in Italy and Spain. The Carolingian Capitulary de Villis, dating to around 800, representing the royal wool of Charlemagne, mentions soap as being one of the products the stewards of royal estates of Totali. The lands of medieval Spain were a leading soap maker by 800, and soap making began in the Kingdom of England about 1200. Soap making is mentioned both as women's work and as the produce of good workmen, alongside other necessities, such as the produce of carpenters, blacksmiths, and bakers. 15th–19th centuries in France. By the second half of the 15th century, the semi-industrialized professional manufacture of soap was concentrated in a few centers of Provence, Toulon, Hyères, and Marseille, which supplied the rest of France. In Marseille, by 1525, production was concentrated in at least 2 factories, and soap production at Marseille tended to eclipse the other Provençal centers. English manufacture tended to concentrate in London. Finer soaps were later produced in Europe from the 16th century, using vegetable oils as opposed to animal fats. Many of these soaps are still produced both industrially and by small-scale artisans. Castile soap is a popular example of the vegetable-only soaps derived from the oldest, white soap, of Italy. In modern times, the use of soap has become commonplace in industrialized nations due to a better understanding of the role of hygiene in reducing the population size of pathogenic microorganisms. Industrially manufactured bar soaps first became available in the late 18th century, as advertising campaigns in Europe and America promoted popular awareness of the relationship between cleanliness and health. Until the Industrial Revolution, soap making was conducted on a small scale and the product was rough. In 1780, James Keir established a chemical works at Tipton, for the manufacture of alkali from the sulfates of potash and soda, to which he afterwards added a soap manufactory. The method of extraction proceeded on a discovery of Keir's, Andrew Pears started making a high-quality, transparent soap in 1807 in London. His son-in-law, Thomas J. Barrett, opened a factory in Isleworth in 1862. William Gossage produced low-priced, good-quality soap from the 1850s. Robert Spear Hudson began manufacturing a soap powder in 1837, initially by grinding the soap with a mortar and pestle. American manufacturer Benjamin T. Babbitt introduced marketing innovations that included sale of bar soap and distribution of product samples. William Hesketh Lever and his brother, James, bought a small soap works in Warrington in 1886 and founded what is still one of the largest soap businesses, formerly called Lever Brothers and now called Unilever. These soap businesses were among the first to employ large-scale advertising campaigns. Liquid soap. Liquid soap was not invented until the 19th century. In 1865, William Shepard patented a liquid version of soap. In 1898, B.J. Johnson developed a soap. His company introduced Palmolive brand soap that same year. This new brand of the new kind of soap became popular rapidly, and to such a degree that B.J. Johnson Soap Company changed its name to Palmolive. At the turn of the 20th century, Palmolive was the world's best-selling soap. In the early 1900s, other companies began to develop their own liquid soaps. Such products as Pine Sol and Tide appeared on the market, making the process of cleaning things other than skin much easier. As a detergent, liquid soap tends to be more effective than flake soap, and tends to leave less residue on skin, clothes, and surfaces. Liquid soap also works better for more traditional, non-machine washing methods, such as using a washboard.